thirsty this morning? Now, I mean for real thirsty this morning. Not that you just want something to drink, but that your soul is thirsty. Not that you feel like you're in a dry place, that which you long for and search after. Having more thirst for God. I said, how many of you feel thirsty this morning? How many of you feel like there's a parchness going on in your throat this morning? That there's a dryness going on in your soul this morning? I believe that God is trying to give us something to drink this morning. And if you weren't able to answer yes that you're thirsty, it's just because you may have been drinking something that wasn't authored, that wasn't authorized this morning. I don't know what you drank this morning. I don't know if you had something to drink that was dealing with heartache and lack. I don't know if you drank something that dealt with rejection and depression. I don't know if you drank confusion and frustration. I'm not sure what you drank this morning, but I'm wondering if you're just a little bit thirsty this morning. I'm wondering if your soul is dry this morning, and if you have a seek on the inside that says, I just need more of God this morning. I don't hear nobody talking to me, but I feel like even though I'm up here, and even though I yet have breath in my body, even though He has allowed me to come to this place and praise and worship Him, I feel like there's just something more. I feel like there's just a little bit more that I can drink from this morning. I feel like the well is still open and available. I feel like my dry place is getting ready to become watered. I don't hear nobody talking to me this morning, but I feel like God is saying, come, all ye that thirst. Hallelujah. There's an invitation that's going forth right now. He says, come, everyone that thirsteth. Come ye to the waters, and he that hath no money, come ye buy and eat. Yea, come, buy wine and milk without money and without price. It's an oxymoron that is taking place here, because the word says, come and buy. When we think about something that we're getting ready to buy, we think about money that is getting ready to leave our hands. We think about a purchase that's getting ready to be made. But He says, come and buy without money. He says, come and buy, come and eat. And when we think about coming to buy something, coming to purchase something, if you look at it a little bit deeper, when you come, you're actually dying. See, what we normally do is we come in our own selves. We come in what we're used to coming in. We come in the form that we're used to coming in. But God is asking you, when you come to the water this time, don't come with your life left on the inside, but come dead. Come ready to receive something else, because I have something greater for you that you know not of. And when you come and you come empty, then I can begin to fill you up. He says, if you just come ready to drink something. Yes. Some of us want to try to buy everything that we see. The things that are not even good for us. We want to buy it because we think that we need it. We want a new car because we think that we need it. We want a new house because we think that we need it. We think that those things make us. But when we get to the point and we understand that we make it, then God will be able to do something greater for us. See, if we just focus on the thing that looks like it's going to make us look good, God can't really give us what He wants us to have. And what we don't understand is when we buy something that we purchase, then the Greek and the Hebrew, it means to purchase something. But if you go a little bit deeper to the root of it, it means to be broken. How many of you know that sometimes you buy something that you regret? There's a broken state that takes place. How many of you know that when you get something that you think that you're supposed to have that wasn't in season, and it begins to break down on you, there's a brokenness that begins to take place? See, we don't understand that when we get ready to spend money on things that are not called of God, then we'll begin to place things out of order. And if you begin to place it out of order, then there's a brokenness that begins to take place. Am I saying that brokenness is bad? Absolutely not. But if it's the thing that you cherish the most and it begins to break down, that thing is bad. But when God begins to break it to the lowest state, that thing there is good. So He says, come ye to the waters. He said, buy and eat milk, wine, and honey, wine and milk without money, without price. And I found it interesting that He would say without price. Because many of us will go to work every day, and we will do the same thing day in and day out. Some of us will work 8 hours, and some of us will work 10. Some of us will work 12, and we can't understand why we have not gotten to the place where we think we should be. Because we are bringing a price to it. So what are you talking about? When we work for something with price, that means we put forth a hiring spirit. That means we put forth a laboring spirit. Well, God is calling us to come to the waters without money and without price. It's just like God to place something on the inside of you and call it already blessed. To make sure that that thing that comes forth is something that is going to bless you and not hinder you. It's just like God to call you to something and say that you don't need anything when you come. All you need to do is just come. It's just like God that says, I'll give you houses that you did not build. A cattle on 1,000 hills. It's just like God that says, I'll multiply you, not 10, 20, 30, but also 1,000 times more. It's just like God that will fix up the blessing that's already on the inside of you and take it to the next level, what He required, and make it fit for your good. But what we want to do is we spend all our time and energy working on the very thing that He did not call blessed, and then we don't understand that why we're not blessed. But when you get to a state in a mind where you begin to work that same energy, that same tenacity on the thing that God has already birthed on the inside of you, you'll see that it's not a struggle. You'll see that it doesn't hurt. You'll see that you're not tired. Some of us come in here tired Sunday after Sunday, can barely lift our hands and say, Lord, I praise you. Lord, I worship you. Lord, I give you glory, because we're tired in our natural state. And if our natural state is tired and our soul becomes depleted, then that means that our spirit has been depleted. So God is giving you an invitation today. He said, you don't even have to come and work at this. All you got to do is show up and worship me. All you got to do is show up and praise me. He said, when you just show up to the waters, hallelujah, you can drink without a price. In other words, He's saying you're receiving an inheritance. You're receiving something that you don't really have to work at. You just got to praise me. You just got to be able to understand what I've already placed on the inside of you. And I find it interesting because he goes right on to say, you spend money on that which is not bread. And we understand from the week before that bread means provision. It means to overcome, but also it means to be a conqueror. I don't know about you, but I remember somewhere around Romans, the 8th chapter, it says, I'm more than a conqueror. And how do I become more than a conqueror? Then I take the very thing that God has blessed me with and begin to bless Him back. I take the very inheritance that He's given me and I begin to bless Him back. You say, well, how do I do that? I take the very finances that God has given me and I begin to sow my tithe. I take the very breath that's on the inside of me and I begin to worship God. I begin to lift Him up and exalt Him. I begin to tell Him that He's worthy, worthy, worthy. Because all I know is if I come in agreement with the one or two that's there, God said that I'm going to step there and be in the midst of us. Some of us are waiting on God to do something, but He's waiting on you to come in and accept the invitation. All He said was come. If we just get a come in our spirit, if we just get a die in our spirit, die to the things that have caused us to be frustrated, irritated, broke down, busted, and disgusted. If you could just die to that for a moment, then God will begin to show you what He has for you. You begin to look and say, I am more than a conqueror.
Yes, yes, God. Yes.
He said, and you labor for that which satisfy you not. Hearken diligently unto me, and eat ye that which is good, and let your soul delight itself in fatness. When we begin to do exactly that, we begin to get an appetite and an hunger for God. For He says, let your soul delight itself in fatness. Let your appetite delight itself in fatness. When you get to a point where your appetite goes to the next level, we talked about this already. When you get to a point where you haven't fed yourself a bunch of junk, where you haven't thirsted off something that wasn't good for you, then God says, if you can just let your soul delight itself in the fatness, if you can just let your soul rest right here for a moment, I'll show you that the very thing that you used to have an appetite for is the very thing that I've been holding over here for you. Some of us us have been working hard for this and working hard for that. God said, I know that you have a desire for that, but if you could just get my desire, then I can begin to tell you what that desire is. And when you get that desire and pray that desire back to me, when you get the appetite of God, God said, then you'll be able to taste it and it won't taste bitter. He'll say the thing that you desire, you'll be able to have it and it won't frustrate you. It won't irritate you. It won't cause you to always be frustrated here and frustrated there, up one minute and down the next. See, when you get an appetite and you delight yourself on the fatness of God, when you delight yourself right there, God said, I'll begin to bless you beyond measure. But first, your appetite has to change. Some of us came in here this morning, we were downcasted, broken, busted, and disgusted. Didn't even want to make it to the house of God this morning, talking about how tired we was from a long week. Ain't nobody more tired than me. And I know that ain't the proper language, but when I think about the goodness of God this morning, when I think about how good he's been to me, if I just remember his word that says, where I'm weak, he's going to make me strong. See, my appetite began to change. There was a salivation that began to take place in my mouth. I said, if I can just get to the house of God, if I can just get to some people that's going to worship with me, if I can get to some people that's going to praise God with me, I understand that right there, God's going to meet all my needs. And so where I'm weak, he said I'll be strong. So right now, yes, I'll bow down and worship him. Yes, I'll give him glory and I give him honor, because I understand that if I get weak in my appetite, God said I'll make you strong right here. See, we're looking for man to lift us up and build us up, but God said I come that you have life and have it more abundantly. How many of you know that man can't build you up? You can't put your trust in flesh, because they'll come and disappoint you every time. But if your appetite says I'm hungry for God, my soul is depleted. Lord, I need more of you. Lord, I just don't want to need just this little bit anymore. I see that you're calling me higher. I don't know about you, but when he says come, in the Hebrew it means to leap. See, some of y'all come just a little bit, but if you could just get a leap in your spirit, if you could just get up from your lonely state and begin to leap up and praise God, God said if you could just come to the world. Just won't do no more. It was good for 2010. It was good for 2011. But I'm entering into a higher place of God now. I'm entering into a covenant. How many of you know that when we enter into 12, we're getting ready to enter into something greater? I don't know about you, but I'm tired of dealing with this and that. I know that if my appetite just changes a little bit, God said I'll make an impact on you that's greater. He said I'll give you rapid growth and sudden increase. But your appetite's got to change from here. It's got to go up a little bit higher. You got to begin to stand up and say, God, I praise you. God, I worship you. God, I lift you up and I magnify you. No more lonely days. No more, I don't know how I'm going to make it today. All this headache is killing me. Oh, my throat is killing me. Oh, my back. God said if you could just change your appetite. To change your appetite. He said, now I just want you to incline your ear. And some of us think that when he says to incline, that he means to just listen. But no, what he's saying is if you just incline, if you can just stretch out, see if you can just extend yourself, if you can just bow down and worship. He said, I want you to incline your ear. In the Hebrew, it means to stretch out. He said, I'm trying to get you to see something a little bit different here. Some of us want to take the word verbatim, and we want to hear what we've always heard. But God said, if you can just stretch out, he said, if you can just extend yourself this morning, he said, if you can just bow down and worship me. He said, in the midst of changing your appetite, if you can just stretch out, if you can just bow down and extend. See, you can't just reach right here and that satisfy you no more. Sometimes you say, okay, I took 2 steps today. Tomorrow I'm going to take 3. The next day I'm going to take 5, because I'm always expecting God to do something for me. He said, if you can just stretch out. stretch out. He said, when you begin to stretch out and come unto me and hear, then your soul shall live. David said, why art thou so downcast? See, some of us, we wake up and we never ask the question. We just go along with the agenda. We never say, why art thou so downcast? We just go along with the agenda. We go along with the frustration and the bitterness. We go along with the hurt and the pain. We go along with the lack and the busted, broke down and disgusted. We go along with the depression and the recession. See, we don't say, why art my soul downcast? Because if you begin to ask yourself the question, God will begin to answer you. But if you never ask the question, all you do is get caught up in the things that are beneath you. You'll get caught up in where your soul is caught up at. You'll get caught up there. You'll get caught up depleting your soul. And see, sometimes we got to come around and we got to ask the question, why art thou so downcast? And you got to command yourself to bless the Lord at all times. You say, Lord, I command my feet to praise you. I command my hands to worship you. I command my mouth to lift you up and to glorify you. See, you got to begin to ask the question so that you can understand what's going on in your life. Your soul shall live, and I will make an everlasting covenant with you, even the sure mercies of David. I'm getting ahead of myself, but I want to preach it because it's exciting to me. Ooh, he said everlasting. He said everlasting, no beginning and no ending. The Alpha and the Omega. We're looking at some things to end, and God said, I want to begin them for you. We're looking at some things begin, and God said, I want to end it for you. Oh, when he talks about the everlasting, he talks about no beginning and no ending. I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get caught up in an everlasting covenant with God. I understand that it's a continuous thing that'll take place. It's something that'll go round and around and around. But if you get caught up in the woe is me, God said, I can't reach you right there because I created a worshiper. I created somebody to worship me in spirit and in truth. So if I can just get you to get caught up, if I can get you to come, if I can just get you to stretch out, he said, then I'll be able to make your soul live. But sometimes we get frustrated and we get irritated, so we stop before the everlasting because we get excited about a house for 2 minutes. Oh my God, we get excited about a car for 2 months, and then we start making it look like the junk that we had before we got the new car. I don't hear nobody talking to me, but if you can just get excited for the everlasting, God said, I'll do a new thing in you. All things are passed away, and behold, all things are made new. But I need you to get caught up in the everlasting. See, because when you get caught up in the everlasting, you don't have to worry about what's going on in the natural. You don't have to worry about what they're saying and what they're not saying, what they're doing and what they're not doing. You don't have to worry about whether the car is running or not running, because you're so caught up in the everlasting that even if it didn't run, you'll get in and put the key in it. You'll put your foot on the gas and you'll say, Lord, I thank you. Lord, I praise you. Lord, I worship you. And somehow the thing will miraculously start and you'll be on your way. He said, I'm making an everlasting promise with you. Some of us have taken our promise and caused it to die. We've let it drop to the ground because it didn't come when we thought that it's just big Holy Ghost. So we took the thing that was a promise that God had promised us, and we allowed it to drop to the ground because we didn't see that there was an everlasting covenant that he was trying to establish with us. So when he said, I'll make your way prosperous, he said, I'll give your life more abundantly. You thought it was supposed to last for just a few minutes and a few moments. You thought it was going to come yesterday or tomorrow. And so since it didn't come when you thought it should come, you thought that you missed it, not realizing that it was already here. Where he said everlasting, that means there was no time put on the promise that God gave you. Sometimes we want to put a time on things. We want to put a time on God. But God said, I'm giving it to you everlasting. I'm making an everlasting covenant with you this morning. I want you to see that the thing that I promised you, it's already on the inside of you. The thing that I always that you thought was dead, God said it's already on the inside of you. He said, if you can just see what I see, if you can just see that baby that's coming forth, if you can just drink from the waters, but first I need you to come. Hallelujah. run and tell everybody the blessing that God has given us. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what happens when that blessing seems to be depleted? Will you still run and tell everybody? Will you still tell them about the blessing? Pastor said it last week. We'll forget the moment what God has already blessed us with. Because what we're standing in right now don't look like it should. So we forget that He blessed us yesterday. We forget that He blessed us waking us up this morning. We forget that He put life in our body. And He said, let the redeemed of the Lord say something. See, when you begin to speak, when you begin to tell people about the blessing that even looks like His dad, you begin to become a witness just like David. He said, I made him a witness for the people, a leader and a commander to the people. And when you begin to witness, you're actually giving a testimony. And God said, I made David a witness. I made him a testimony because I needed him to come back and restore some people. I needed him to give his testimony because some of them were dying and they didn't believe no more. He said, but I'm not going to stop right there to witness, but I'm getting ready to elevate him to a leader. He said, because I understand that he just don't have a testimony. Oh, but he got a message this morning. I come to tell somebody that God is shifting you from a witness into a leader. I come to tell you this morning that God said all you got to do is just look on me and come to the water. He said, you just began to drink this water. He said, you just began to drink on this water. He said, I can take you from just being a witness, from just giving a testimony to being a messenger. He didn't stop right there, but David got shifted right on into a commander's position. God said, now I'm going to come because you took and you went through the test. See, some of us don't want to go through the process. We just want to be blessed but don't want to go through. But God said, because David went through the process, I moved him from witness, from leader, all the way into a commander. So now he's coming to appoint some people. He's coming to take charge. He's coming to set the atmosphere. Because if we sit and set the atmosphere for ourselves, we'll get up each day talking about, oh, it's just going to be another day. Same day, different different day, different same stuff. We just go through the motions because that's all we know. But when the commander comes in town, he begins to set the atmosphere. And he begins to look up and see what's going on in the heavens. And he begins to say, oh God, I thank you for this day. I thank you for supernatural increase. I thank you for supernatural prosperity. I thank you for supernatural healing. I thank you, Lord, and I praise you because the commander knows how to set the atmosphere.
Glory to your name, God.
Commander has the ability to appoint and ordain. And when you get those type of people in charge, then we want to look at them and we want to be blown away by what they're doing and by what they're saying. And so we always look at them and we marvel at people when they seem like they got it all together and like they got it going on. And we just begin to marvel and say, I just want to be like that, and I want to do this and I want to do that. And I love it because when you get to a point where it's not about you. I said it's not about you. It's not about you. I don't mean to disappoint somebody this morning, but it's not about you. You came in here with an attitude, but it wasn't about you. You came in here mad about the program, but it wasn't about you. You came in because they wasn't singing your favorite song and got up there, but it wasn't about you. He said it's not about you. When we get to a point like David and we begin to humble ourselves and we want to just bless the Lord, God will continue to move you and shift you. And I love it because he'll just do some things that'll blow your mind. Yes, God. He said in verse 5, he says, behold, thou shalt call a nation that thou knowest not, and nations that knew not thee shall run unto thee because of the Lord thy God, and for the Holy One of Israel, where he hath glorified you. See, the Bible says, if I be lifted up, then I'll draw. He didn't say if you lift yourself up.